Namaste, angels. I'm here to record the love reading. And I was going to record it yesterday. Today's actually Friday, September 1st. Happy September to everybody. I was going to record it yesterday. And I didn't. I think that the reason why I never made it that far was because I actually forgot a couple things. And I felt it as I was doing the reading. I'm like, there's no more theology. And I'm thinking, as I'm doing it, I'm like, I think it's having something to do with Islam. And I'm like, is it Ramadan? Because I don't research these things. I don't prepare notes and stuff like that. I mean, a couple of times I have, and I think in those instances I've even announced it to you guys, like, oh, I have notes. But in a general sense, I don't. Like, everything I go over is from my head, and in some cases attached to that, I'll bring up something on the internet, but it's because it was initiated by a thought. So I didn't have anything up, and I couldn't remember anything, and so I'm like, okay, I'll go on, because I'm like, it's not Ramadan, but that didn't trigger me to say, oh, it's Eid. That's what it is, Eid al-Ha. So Eid Mubarak to everybody, which means a blessed Eid, and I will tell you a little bit about Eid. Eid al-Adha is the feast of sacrifice. It's also called the sacrifice feast. And it's the second of two Muslim holidays celebrated each year worldwide that are considered the holier of the two. It honors the willingness of Abraham to sacrifice his son. So this is the same Abraham from the Torah and from the Bible. Right? Remember, he was called to cut Isaac in half. So as an act of obedience to God's command, he was willing to do this. And that's what this holiday honors. Before he sacrificed his son, God intervened by sending an angel, which in Arabic would be Jibrail, but in English is Gabriel. And then he put a lamb in his son's place. Gabriel did, that is, put a lamb in Isaac's place. In commemoration of this, an animal is sacrificed and divided into three parts. 1/3 of the share is given to the poor and the needy. Another third is given to relatives, friends, and neighbors, and the remaining third is retained by the family. In the Islamic lunar calendar, Eid al-Adha falls on the 10th day of Dhu al-Hajj. In international Gregorian calendar, the dates vary from year to year, drifting approximately 11 days earlier each year. Eid al-Adha is the latter of the two Eid holidays, the former being Eid al-Fitr. So you guys remember when Ramadan ended, we began to celebrate Eid al-Fitr a few months ago. The word Eid appears once in Al-Ma'idah, the 5th surah of the Quran, with the meaning solemn festival. Like Eid al-Fitr, Eid al-Adha begins with a prayer of 2 rakats, followed by a sermon. Eid al-Ha celebrations start after the descent of the Hujjaj, which is the pilgrims performing the Hajj from Mount Arafat, a hill east of Mecca. Eid sacrifice may take place until sunset on the 13th day of Dhu al-Hijjah. The days of Eid have been singled out in the Hadith as days of remembrance and are considered the holiest days in the Islamic calendar. The days of Tashriq are from the Maghrib prayer of the 29th of Dhul Qa'dah up to the Maghrib prayer of the 13th of Dhu al-Hijjah, 13 days and 13 nights. And that was from Wikipedia, but it was accurate to my memory. And speaking of the sacrifice that Muslims make on this occasion, the American Council on Muslims has called all American Muslims to make a sacrifice equivalent to their Eid sacrifice to the survivors of Hurricane Harvey, or to the relief effort of Hurricane Harvey. So basically they were called to make a donation of an equivalent amount, whatever they spent on their Eid sacrifice, meal, celebration, party, whatever they're doing. They've been called to make an equivalent donation to Hurricane Harvey efforts. So that's pretty amazing. And also on this awesome day, I had 2 different clients of mine, clients for readings, clients for the Divine Light Cleanse. Both have had them. The first was prompted completely of her own volition and accord to offer $40 toward a Divine Light Cleanse for, one of her sisters and brothers out there in the world. She didn't have to know who it was. She didn't, care who it was. Just one who was wanting to get a cleanse. But for, some financial constraints, would have gotten it already and hadn't. She wanted to be able to help someone to do that. So when another who's actually not only had the readings and the cleanses, but has had 2 healing sessions with me, and also purchased 2 for her Divine Masculine. So they have a total of 4 between them as a couple, and they're, with which they're very happy. She was moved by this other sister's action to do the same. And so she put up another $40. So I posted on my Facebook today 2 $40 grants, basically, from, one from each of these 2 sisters toward Divine Light Cleanses. And there are 2 lucky sisters of ours, they're both sisters in this case, who have, purchased those and redeemed the grants. One in Canada and one here in the United States, in Jersey. So I spoke to one of them about how, what a wonderful way to celebrate Eid, and what a wonderful sacrifice. And we wished each other an Eid Mubarak. So what else did I forget, if anything? I didn't go over the sky this week. I explained that the sky this week is not published until Fridays, but I wanted to go ahead and do the reading, the general reading, get it out of the way before Friday today, just in case, because I wasn't sure on what day I'd be traveling, or, what might be going on. I've got family in Houston. I've got things going on. I'm, doing cleanses and all kind of stuff. I wasn't sure about Wi-Fi. It's been intermittent, since I've been moving around and traveling and stuff. So I just wanted to make sure that it was done and going to be ready. So with that, I elected to move on without what's going on in the sky this week, because astronomy.com tends to post that, and they may have had it posted in their defense. I didn't even look it up, but they tend to post it on Friday, early afternoons. So I tend to do the weekly readings, record the weekly readings on Fridays. So I left that out because I didn't, but I do want to go over a couple things, because I think I said, I'm sure I said, because I believe that it was correct, that the full moon occurred on September 6th this week, Wednesday, September 6th. This reading that we're about to hear is for Sunday, September 3rd through Saturday, September 9th, I think it was. And of course, the 6th falls within this week. And I reported that day as being the day that the full moon would occur, and the 5th being the day that Mercury would go direct and back into Leo. So that's correct. Mercury is going direct and back into Leo. So it's essentially the end of the Mercury retrograde this week. Of course, thereafter, it'll be in shadow, and it'll go back into Virgo on the 19th and then be completely over. But apparently also on the 5th is the full moon, at least according to astronomy.com and what's going on in the sky this week. So I'll give you from Monday, I won't read the whole things, because, during the love reading, I've done already more talking than I ever do during a love reading. That's why I include it all in the weekly general, because I like to get it in there and just do the love reading. But I want to go over these things really, really quickly because they may affect us this week. So I'll just give you like headlines, So Tuesday, September 5th, the full moon officially arrives at 3:03 a.m. So that's going to equal a 6 for love. That's Eastern Daylight Time. And it looks completely illuminated all night. So maybe that's when it arrives, and then the official first day is the 6th. I don't know, but they're listing it here. And then they go on to talk about Jupiter and how bright the giant gas planet is going to be in the sky that night as well. So a lot going on in the 5th. That's the end of the Mercury retrograde, or Mercury direct in Leo, the full moon, and Jupiter hovering above. Wednesday, the 6th. If you look overhead as darkness falls anytime this week, your eyes will fall on the brilliant star Vega in the constellation Lyra the Harp at a magnitude of 0.0. That's pretty bright. So Vega is the brightest member of the prominent summer triangle asterism. And so you can see that if you want to take a peek. It looks like all of those stars that are part of that asterism will be visible. Deneb in Cygnus the Swan, and also pretty sure I saw Aquila the Eagle here, but I'm like scrolling with my eyes really quickly. So the next day, Thursday the 7th, Mars returns to view after a 3-month hiatus. The red planet rises more than an hour before the sun and climbs 7 degrees high in the east, 30 minutes before sunup at a magnitude of 1.8. So that's pretty bright too, and you may be able to take a look at Mars, especially if you have a telescope. Friday, September 8th, which is the day on which Mary, the Blessed Mother, her birthday is celebrated. Friday the 8th. Those of you who watch me particularly know that her actual birthday is not September 8th, but rather June 13th, the day that she made her big showing at Fatima. But that's the day on which it's celebrated is the 8th, and that's the reason why the Immaculate Conception, the day on which it's celebrated that Saints Anne and Joaquin, her parents, became pregnant with her, is December 8th. They just conveniently made it 9 months before this date that they had chosen. What's going on in the sky that day is that you may be able to take a peek at Saturn if you've got a telescope. And Sunday, September 9th, the constellations Ursa Major, the Great Bear, and Cassiopeia, the Queen, lie on opposite sides of the North Celestial Pole. So they appear to pivot around the North Star, aka Polaris. All right, so that's pretty exciting. You can find Ursa Major and its prominent asterism, the Big Dipper, around 30 degrees above the northwestern horizon. Cassiopeia's familiar W shape, which currently lies on its side, appears the same height above the northeastern horizon. As the night progresses, Cassiopeia climbs above Polaris, again, which is the North Star, while the Big Dipper swings below. So that's cool. And then Sunday the 10th, a week ago, Mercury was a binocular object low in the east during morning twilight. It now appears much more conspicuous, shining at a magnitude of -0.1. So that is also very bright. You might be able to take a peek at Mercury. It says here also, you may be able to view Regulus. And that looks like it might be it. All right, so that's that. And what else did I want to tell you, if anything? Oh, in honor of Eid, I had a Muslim story. And this was another thing that I thought of yesterday. I'm like, should I tell a Muslim? I guess the angels were trying to tell me, but not verbally. And since I was in the middle of recording, and it wasn't a live recording, but it was recorded live, I do my videos unedited. I do everything on camera and stuff like that. So I didn't have very much time to like pause and think. I didn't. I was like, as I was talking and doing things, I was trying to remember, and I'm going, is it Ramadan? Is it this? Is it that? Should I tell a Muslim story? Is that it? So I guess they were trying to point it out to me. So I'm going to tell a Muslim story now. And this is from islamcan.com, and the story is called The Light of Guidance. I was coming back from a long journey, and Allah decreed that my seat in the airplane should be beside a group of carefree young men whose loud laughter and voices were too much, and the air was filled with clouds of smoke from their cigarettes. By the wisdom of Allah, the plane was completely full, and I could not change my seat. I tried to escape from the problem by sleeping, but it was impossible. When I got fed up of their noise, I took out my mushaf, which means copy of the Quran, and I started to read what I could of the Quran in a soft voice. Soon after, these young men started to quiet down. Some of them started to read newspapers, and some of them fell asleep. Suddenly, one of them in a loud voice, even though he was sitting right next to me, said, "Enough, enough." I thought that I had disturbed him because my voice was too loud, so I apologized to him and carried on reading in a whisper that only I could hear. I saw him holding his head in his hands, then fidgeting in his seat, moving a lot. Then he raised his head and said to me angrily, "Please stop it, I can't stand it." Then he got up from his seat and went away for a while. He came back, greeted me with salams, and apologized. He fell silent, and I didn't know what was going on, but after a while he turned to me with his eyes full of tears and said in a whisper, "For 3 years or more, I have not put my forehead on the ground." When Muslims pray, they kneel and put their hands before them, facing east, facing Mecca, and put their heads all the way down to the ground. So that's what he means here. So he had not, where is that part? He had not put his head on the ground. Okay, found it. "For 3 years or more, I have not put my forehead on the ground, and I have not read even one ayah. For a whole month, I've been on this trip, and there is no evil action that I did not indulge in. Then I saw you reading the Quran, and my world turned black, and my heart was filled with despair. I felt as if someone was strangling me. I felt every ayah that you read coming down on my body like a whip. I said to myself, for how long will this negligence go on? Where will this path lead you? What will happen after all this foolish play?" Then I went into the washroom. Do you know why? I had the strong urge to weep, and I couldn't find anywhere else to hide from the people's sight. I spoke to him in general terms about the tawbah, which means repentance, and turning back to Allah. Then he fell silent. When the plane landed, he stopped me, and it seemed that he wanted to keep away from his companions. He asked me with a serious expression on his face, "Do you think that Allah will accept my repentance?" I said, "If you're sincere and serious in your repentance, then Allah will forgive all your sins." He said, "But I have done terrible things, very terrible." I said, "Have you not heard what Allah says?" And then here's an interpretation of the meaning, because they actually say it in Arabic here. "My servants who have transgressed against themselves by committing evil deeds and sins, despair not of the mercy of Allah. Verily, Allah forgives all sins. Truly, He is oft forgiving, most merciful." And this can be found in the Quran, Al-Zumar 39:53. I saw him smiling with joy, with his eyes filled with tears. Then he bade me farewell and left. Subhan Allah Azim. No matter how great a man's evil and sin in his heart, there is a seed of goodness. If only we can reach it and make it grow, it will bear fruit, inshallah. Which means, like God willing. It will, that's what inshallah means. This seed of goodness is always fighting in a man's heart, even when it's covered by layers of whims and desires. When Allah wills good for his servants, He causes the light of guidance to shine in his heart and guides him to the path of those who are guided. Allah says, and there's another interpretation of a meaning, whosoever Allah wills to guide, He opens his breast to Islam, and whosoever He wills to send astray, He makes his breast closed and constricted, as if he is climbing up to the sky. Al-An'am 6:125. And that's the end of the story. So basically what that's saying is, at the end, God, when He wants to show us something, He will show us something. You know, whether it's a lesson, so He wants to show us something, we feel we're going astray because we need a lesson to learn, he directs us that way. And when we're ready to come back, he welcomes us back to him. And again, if we're sincere and genuine in our apologies to him and our seeking of repentance, then all is forgiven. And that's no matter what you call God, whether you call him God or Yahweh or Abba or Allah or anything else. So I don't know why I was moved to tell that story, but it may have something to do with what shows up in the cards. Perhaps some of us will be seeking forgiveness, or there'll be evidence of the need for forgiveness in the spread that we're going to go on to right now. I'll try to remember to put a timestamp on the bottom of the reading for when it starts, for those of you who are just used to me not talking and going straight to the reading. Beginning with the dice, and yes. Which is interesting because in the general reading, I said some people may be getting engaged. So that could be a yes to a wedding proposal or an offer of a date, because that came up too. Eat cake, maybe on the date or at the wedding. And romantic dinner, that may be the date. All right. And Spirit says cocktail. I think these are the same dice that turned up in the general. Dirty movie. And forget it. All right, here we go. I'm going to begin with the Doreen Virtue Romance Angels and Soulmate. Yes, this is your soulmate. Opening to separation. Time apart from your partner is on the horizon. I don't think that this is your actual partner. I think this is a partner, as in like a karmic, quote unquote, karmic partner from whom you're separating. I don't think this is your divine partner. Soulmate. Getting to know each other. As you reveal your innermost selves to each other, your bond deepens. Getting to know each other. And flirt. Extend your lighthearted energy to others. The general reading was so romantic. Getting to know each other. It was so lovey. It was totally a love reading. And opening to engagement, which again, I just spoke about in the general. I felt some people getting engaged. Your love life is ascending to a higher level of commitment. Getting to know each other. And playfulness. To recapture romance, allow your inner youthful spirit of fun to shine. Getting to know each other. I'm going to cut. Playfulness. And the overall energy, speaking of engagement or wedding, is honeymoon. Enjoy the bliss of holiday time together. This, in the United States, could be Labor Day. That's also this weekend. So yeah, all you guys out there, especially, couples reuniting and coming together, have a safe and, enjoyable Labor Day if you're here in the United States. And to others, well, in some in the Islamic community, you may still be celebrating from Eid, so you can enjoy that together. Or let's see, this reading does begin from Sunday. Yeah, you may very well still be celebrating. And this can, of course, be from the full moon in Pisces on Wednesday. This card will represent the divine couple, the recent past, blocks to the union, the outcome, the masculine higher self, the near future, what the feminine can do toward the union this week as it relates to love, what the masculine can do, and further advice from the universe for the couple. Divine couple. Reconciliation. Boom. What I say about that separation card? I said that's not for us. That's for the people that are being left behind. Whether it's friends, family, a romantic situation, somebody at work, a job, all types of karmic situations. There was evidence of leaving them, particularly on the side of the masculine, in the general reading this week. And love coming through big time. Someone from your past is returning to your life. Yay! I'm in a silly mood today, as you can see. Eid Mubarak. The recent past. Chemistry. There's a strong magnetic attraction here. We're being pulled back together. We cannot resist. That's the way the science of biology works as it relates to love. We give off these pheromones, and one another can sense them, smell them, sense them in all different ways. And we yearn for each other. We must come back together. It's like magnetism, magnets pulling each other back together. The near future. Let go of control issues and allow this situation to occur naturally. That's going to give way to the reconciliation. See how they're crossing one another here? That's going to allow the chemistry to flow in a natural, scientific way. The masculine's higher self. Worth waiting for. Divine timing is at work in your love life. This can apply to him himself, and this can be his thoughts, since this is his higher self, his thoughts with regard to the union that it crosses and the reconciliation that it crosses and the chemistry with which he has with the feminine. Sexy. Blocks to the union. Boom. What'd I say? Karmic relationships. Told you. Yeah, so there's a past life relationship that has been in the way of your union. And a lot of times, in a lot of cases, it's a friend. Now, it may be a friend with whom there's been some romantic interest and or involvement, or maybe it's come to that, or that may be what they desire. But it started out as a friend. And one of the reasons why I'm saying that is not only because it's has that been coming to me and showing up in my cards, but today when I was shuffling the hashtag creepy deck, 3 times back to back shuffling, I opened to friendship, with which I'm starting actually when I use that deck, opposite, the triangle with the 3 people, the triangle. So I said, this friend again, that's not really a friend, because I talked about them, I think, in the moon reading. And then after those times, I opened to friendship opposite the fair male, and then friendship again opposite control, that person on a string, that puppet in the marionette. So that's what this is about. Those strings operating the puppet, those control issues, or that mechanism of control being cut out this week. And what can the feminine do, if anything, to help, or another way to facilitate the union this week? And as it relates to love, separate from your quote unquote karmic situations as well. Time apart from your partner is on the horizon, but again, not your divine partner. The past life relationship. What can the masculine do? And isn't it funny? Look how they're sitting here, one underneath the other, the separation and the reconciliation, because this separation makes this reconciliation possible. It makes the chemistry possible. Look how it's crossing chemistry, because the energy, which is also science, the energy is off as long as we're connected to these past life relationships. The energy needs to be healed in order to make way for this reconciliation. What can the masculine do toward the union as it relates to love this week? Express his love. Go ahead and make the romantic gesture. This also came up in a different way in the general reading. A lot of communication. And what would the universe advise? Boom! I love when I tell you guys what's going to happen ahead of the reading and then it does, which is like always, you know, not to pat myself on the back or anything. I'm very thankful for the gift and to be able to share it with you guys. It's exciting. This situation involves marriage of the sacred nature. And the outcome: love yourself first. Get rid of the past life relationship that you've been allowing to block your progress in your life and or love life. Your self-respect makes you more romantically attractive. I feel like I can stop here, but I won't. That was so awesome. And you know what? That Pisces moon, it will be careful though with the Pisces moon, because Pisces and or Neptune, which is in retrograde, I talked about that in the general reading too, can make us like foggy, confused. Fantasy and reality can get, betwixt. We may be, especially if we're a person who like overthinks, for example, we may be particularly paranoid. If we're somebody who tends to wear our emotions on our sleeves, we're going to be covered in them. Like that sort of, I think that all of this will be heightened. All of the love and emotion, the watery sort of expressions of a person, traits will be heightened. All right, so let's see what's up with these friends of ours, which I think are frenemies in many cases. And like when I was talking about that before, I was drawn to like this ring, like the friend trying to have a actual bond in that sense with us. A bond that is not of a friend nature, of a more romantic nature. So in any case, or controlling, like they're married to you, married to the friendship. Beginning with friendship. Opening to children. In some cases, this can be a friendship or unhealthy relationship with your child's other parent. This can be a childhood friend, and that's why you've been hesitant to cut them off, even though you know that they've sort of been ruining your life. Opening to the Ice Queen, Venus. Venus coming through, I think, in representation of Mercury. Children back. Here's that quote-unquote karmic representation. Brunette female in reverse. There are no reversals in this deck, but I like when I come to her in reverse and opposite children. This can be your child's, again, other parent. Children. And there's that control in the puppet. So being controlled by a situation involving children. I'm going to cut. Young male. The overall energy is the blonde female. The feminine about herself this week. This is my other crossbred. My other placements. The masculine with relation to the feminine. With relation to himself. The union. Overall, the outcome. What the masculine would have the feminine do or surrender toward the union this week as it relates to love. What he is willing to do or surrender this week as it relates to love. And what the universe would have the two of them to do or surrender. Feminine about herself. Dark male. I told you he doesn't want to go anywhere. He's popped up. This, I think, is the 4th reading in a row now. So feminine thinking about dark male one way or another. Or what that represents, what that dark male represents. The masculine as it relates to the feminine. Also getting, this is also connected to her masculine side this week. Maybe, yeah, and balance, drawing on the fact that maybe she's feeling a little bit more heavily masculine, taking advantage of that moon energy, that which is feminine energy of surrender, to get balanced out, which will also help with that chemistry. Masculine as it relates to the feminine, gifts. So again, I talked about engagements and, proposals and offers like for dates and things like that this week. And I think that's what this is representing as well. Masculine wanting to take, this is like Knight of Water is how I'm feeling it right now. Masculine as it relates to himself. Young female, isn't that awesome? How the feminine is like in a place and, in touch, as they say, with her masculine side right now, and the masculine the same with regard to his feminine. In addition to that, the same way it meant for the came through with the masculine card, this can be the masculine with this feminine, of the light, again, this red-haired girl on his mind too, for one reason or another. Similarly to how this dark male tends to come through for me as a representation of the light, capital L. Masculine with regard to the union this week. Work. Aww. Willing to put in the effort, like fruits of his labors, willing to put in the effort and to looking forward to reaping what he sows. Overall, family, how sweet is this? Coming together of the masculine and feminine together, that sacred marriage, that wedding that we saw before, coming together as a unit, forming a family. And I'll save the outcome. What can the feminine do, or what would the masculine have the feminine do? Mature woman is what he's looking for this week from you. And that doesn't mean, act like an old lady. Mature woman. Like none of the silly childish fights or anything. Be willing to hear him out when he does, if he does step forward to express himself as guided in the previous spread, and, give him a chance, and give yourself a chance too. Go within if you have to, like things that, adulting involves, if like a big girl would do. And what is the masculine willing to do and or surrender this week toward the union as it relates to love? Where his back has been turned, he's ready to turn around. And again, work on it. It's here crossing the work. What a beautiful spread. And what would the universe have the two of us to do and or surrender toward the union this week? The obstacles, let them go. Like if any self-imposed blocks to the union or anything that we can, we're in control, which is everything really. If we let go of control in the sense that it's ego, and surrender and allow the universe to handle what it handles, but allow ourselves to also listen to the guidance and follow the guidance that we receive and go through with it, as opposed to ignoring it and remaining in, feeling in that feeling of being stuck. Again, this is putting ourselves first, like the other spread said. So we're going to put ourselves first again, and we're going to end those karmic relationships, that we're being guided to end if we're among those being tapped on the shoulder saying it's time to let this person, place, or thing go. We're going to do it. And the outcome. The outcome is friendship among the couple, but also family. So this is what you want, right? We're friends and lovers, and family, basically. Aww. Let me use these again. I'm always like changing what I'm doing in mid work. I'm sorry. Look, opening right back up to soulmate with which I started before. Yes, this is your soulmate. Soulmate. Playfulness. Playfulness. Reconciliation. Someone from your past is returning to your life. Playfulness. Finances and career. Financial issues are a factor in your love life right now. If I remember correctly from the general, this is a good week for that too. Playfulness, and one more. New love. A new person has stirred your romantic feelings. In some cases, that'll be true. In others, it's reconciliation again on this plane. Because for all of us in these sacred relationships, it's reconciliation. We're getting back together either for the first time in this lifetime or after a quote unquote separation in this lifetime. But we've all met, we've all known each other before. For some of us, this is the first time meeting on this plane. We're just now, finding our partners. And for others, yeah, it's love anew and renewed and all that stuff. Playfulness. I'm going to cut. I just wanted to shuffle them up a bit since we used them before. Flirt. Extend your lighthearted energy to others. The overall energy is calling in your soulmate, but I wanted to show you like this, show you the same way they showed me. This is the way the cards ended up in my hand. Calling in your soulmate, your prayers, affirmations, and visualizations help bring you together with religious factors sticking up. So religious factors, they're telling me it's meaning a few things. For one, it represents the sacred marriage. That's what's religious about it. It's the spiritual relationship between the two. It's also about the reasoning behind some of us not having ended our karmic situations. Again, be they with friends or family or a romantic partner or something. It's our ideologies and beliefs as to what's right and what's wrong. But then on another note, having to do with what's right and what's wrong, it's the religious factors also showing up because these couples wanting to do what is traditionally right here in the 3D as it relates to romance and what a couple is supposed to do. And that is things like getting married, legally married in the 3D. So those three things coming through with this. But calling in your soulmate, the overall energy. Masculine, codependency, addictions are affecting your romantic life. Yeah, so just like in the general, coming through stronger for the masculine than the feminine, that there are karmic situations with which he needs to dispense. People, places, and things that are holding back his life from progressing. And particularly his love life. This is the love reading. He's surrounded by this past life relationship that needs to go. This is upon what he's been codependent. And this is, what he's allowed to become codependent upon him. So this is with what he has to dispense. In his subconscious, forgiving and learning from this experience, forgiving himself for having gone through it and some of the things that he did because of it, some of the ways he treated the feminine because of it, some of the ways he treated himself, maybe even some of the ways he treated this other karmic partner, good, bad, and different. He would have done things differently if he had, known differently. You know better, you do better. So he's ready to do that now. He's learning. As you release and heal the past, so getting rid of this now, you experience more love in your present moments. Again, letting go of the past life relationship is what's going to give way for the reconciliation, just like the other spread showed. Feminine, retreat. It's time to disconnect from the world. We may need to spend some time going within. But worth waiting for, the masculine told us in the other spread, divine timing is at work in your love life. And boom, here's the reconciliation yet again. Someone from your past is returning to your life. Crowning, heart-to-heart conversations. Here's that communication I was talking about. Honestly discuss your feelings with each other. At the root, you deserve love. That's why you are lovable. So here comes Sagittarius, Cupid, shooting the arrow at you from the masculine side to the feminine, right here, aimed at the reconciliation. How awesome is that? And at the heart of the matter, romantic feelings. Your feelings are real and worth exploring. So let's do this. And here's our advice. Taking this from my Keepers of the Light Oracle, with which I was, if I had used these, going to begin with the energy of hope, love, and acceptance. Love is yours. Thoughts. So this is about manifesting positivity into our life. Love in all forms. That's all we need as a species. And wow, I'm going to shuffle these up a little bit since I used them before. And beginning with children, yet again, I open to it from work. So children having been a determining factor in our behavior for a lot of us, why we did or didn't do a lot of these things. And learning now that, the children are not a block, and it's healthy for them too, for us to do, what makes us happy and to follow our hearts. And it teaches them to do the same in their own lives. Opening to courting man here opposite the work. So remember, the masculine was willing to work this week, willing to make an offer and express himself to the feminine. Here's that showing up again. Work. Fun times. That's the dating. Partying, getting together. Work. Here's that control in reverse, because we let go of it. We let it fall away. Work. Last one. Beauty queen in reverse. So maybe not trying to make ourselves, because it's not coming through as feeling bad about ourselves. Beauty queen is typically, for me, a person feeling really confident and being really attractive, feeling really attractive, and it's not coming through as being unattractive here in reverse, but maybe not needing to be like in the spotlight. It's coming through more so like that. And she's in reverse again. And I'm getting that, like in a lot of the couples, there is one that's like more popular, I'd say, than the other. But it's no longer like where it had been. It's no longer being received and perceived by the other as a lack of attention toward them, They're recognizing that this is just their partner's personality and they're appreciating it now. And the overall energy is mature woman. So again, what the masculine is looking for out of the feminine this week is now our overall energy. And he's coming through as the Ice King as opposed to the Ice Queen. And I think that this is because as it came up also in the moon readings, and I think even last week's love and or general reading, this Mercury direct is going to be very impactful upon us when Mercury goes back into Leo. So here's your Ice King, your Mercury, and here's the Leo. So that's when he's going to be making moves. I think it turned up on the masculine side that time too. And I told the masculine that like on or around this date is, which is September 5th, is when you're going to be doing things your way, what you want. Feminine, getting true love, finding true love this week. Just as I was saying, masculine drawing on his feminine energy of surrender. Here comes the goddess with the moon, the full moon behind her to, reconfirm and affirm that. That's what's happening. For the feminine, paying close attention, listening to your intuition. So just as I was talking about before, like really listening, quieting ourselves to hear the messages from the universe and then following them. So taking control in that sense, but otherwise relinquishing control to the universe, allowing it to guide us. That's the surrender. Aw, he showed up in the general too. It's Master Jesus for the masculine. Forgiveness, what I say. You are on the path of light, love, and forgiveness. Just like in the story, Father healing is available and is possible at this time. Oh, I love that for you guys. Please watch the general because I just was reminded about something special connected to that card. For the feminine, Joan of Arc. So we are, taking on our masculine. Joan of Arc is famous not only for her martyrdom and having led an army at the age of only 17, but for dressing up like a man. That's for what she was arrested, actually, for like masquerading as a man to do all this. So this is her, that was her taking on her masculine. And then, of course, leading that army. And now we're doing that this week, too. Stand strong. Focus on your purpose. Release the fear of persecution and speak your truth. Ace of Air came through a couple times, too, in the general reading. Aww, and the masculine's advice, just like it was in the spread from the romance angels, is express your love. Go ahead and make the romantic gesture. So if we're still holding on to some fear and afraid to do it or not sure if you should, masculine, yes, you should. And lastly, for the feminine, children. Your love life is being affected by children. So we've talked about how and why already. I don't think I need to go over that again. You guys know what you need to do. Other than that, have a safe holiday if you are in the United States and you are celebrating Labor Day. For those of you in Texas and the surrounding, Louisiana, please be safe. The survivors of Harvey and the relief efforts, those of you who are going there to help, be careful, be safe. God be with you. God bless. And anybody celebrating Eid or any other holiday about which I'm forgetting and not thinking, blessings to you guys too. Enjoy those holidays. And I'll see you next week. Namaste, angels.